Hey everybody, welcome to episode 141 of the AskDAP show, where I answer your Volkswagen and Audi questions. On this episode, we talk about 4Motion versus Quattro, subtle exhaust upgrades, and vehicles that won't get over a certain RPM in higher gears.
John Maffa via YouTube asked, so does the Volkswagen use similar systems, and how do the VW systems work? Are they all Haldex? Is the Golf R different from the 4Motion on the Tiguan or the Atlas, or are they all the same?
Okay, John. So John is a longtime customer, and we've answered a lot of his questions. This is a good question. This was on our Quattro video that we just put out, and we will have some more stuff coming relating to these videos, some different variations around this stuff. But Volkswagen, let's start with, does Volkswagen use those systems? Yes, Volkswagen does use Haldex. They also do use Torsen stuff. Torsen is kind of dead for the VW world. The last VW to use a Torsen differential, I think, was the Phaeton and the Passat. So Passat, B5 Passats, not B6, and later they used different systems. But the B5 Passat used Torsen setup, much like the S4s did in that time, S4, A4 of the Audis. Then when you go on to Haldex, everything else Volkswagen all-wheel drive is Haldex, which includes Mark IV R32s, Mark V R32s, Mark VI Golf Rs, Mark VII Golf Rs, Atlas, CCs, Passat. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few, but basically, yeah, Tiguan. Tiguan also has, they all use Haldex. So they have variations of Haldex, as I've covered in that generations, in that Quattro video. But yes, they do use the same systems that operate very much like the Audi Quattro systems that we covered. That video was just talking about Quattro, comparing one to the other. So I didn't really want to muddy the whole waters and lump all the VW and Audi stuff together. We may do a separate Haldex specific video coming soon.
Mack via YouTube asked, I have a 2016 Jetta 1.8T TSI Sport. What would you recommend for a subtle exhaust upgrade?
Okay, so subtle exhaust upgrades. First, the number one might be a downpipe. I'm just not sure off the top of my head if the 1.8T in that car actually, if the downpipes transfer. They probably don't, because most of the downpipes that would fit would be for MQB cars, and I suspect the length might be different between an MQB car and a Jetta. Downpipe is one that would give you some performance benefit and sound. The other one would be Resonator Delete. Resonator Deletes are fairly easy to do. You can just cut the pipe and then put a straight piece of pipe in place. You will get more exhaust noise. It's the cheapest way to do it. A lot of cars have, the more mainstream modified cars have options. 034, we did one on the S4, but 034 and CTS and a bunch of, even Volkswagen for a while made them for Mark VII Golf Rs. They have them for Mark VII GTIs. Most of the mainstream cars will have Resonator Deletes available out there, where you just take like a pipe cutter, cut out that section of pipe, and then drop this other one and clamp it in place, and that's it. I suspect on that car, again, because it's a non-mainstream modified car, you probably won't have that in there, but a muffler shop probably can get you in there. Just something to keep aware of, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but muffler shops often use aluminized pipe. It's just a lower quality pipe and is non-rust resistant. And so if you're in an area where you're going to see a lot of snow and road salt and all that stuff, using aluminized exhaust pieces is not a good idea. It's very likely to rust and not last very long. And so I would suggest to make sure you get stainless is always my preference on that stuff. And usually you can just buy clamps to have them clamp it in place, as opposed to trying to have them weld it and whatever. So I don't know, depending on the car, there may be aftermarket exhaust out there, but you're talking about a huge cost difference between a Resonator Delete and a full exhaust. Also, don't do muffler deletes. I always recommend to everybody, do not do muffler deletes. People do them. They almost always regret them, because deleting your muffler is going to make your car obnoxiously loud and often not sound great either.
Brandon via YouTube asked, I have a question about my GTI Mark V manual transmission. My 5th and 6th gears pretty much have the same RPMs as 4th gear, so I can't go that much faster than 4th gear's top speed. Do you know what caused this?
Okay, so what it sounds to me like is, and I'm not sure, but based on the way you're describing it, it sounds like the engine's actually bogging. So what you're describing makes me think that you believe it's transmission related. I could say it's very likely that that specific problem is probably engine related. And I would guess, just off the top of my head, one of two things. Either you have a fuel pump problem, high or low pressure, and it just hasn't created enough faults because it's not giving you enough volume, or you potentially have a clogged cat, which is why the engine is bogging when it gets to higher RPMs, and it just won't go any further as far as higher into the RPM range. I don't know, but that's kind of where I would lean towards with that situation, given the fact that you say fifth and sixth gear both don't. It's very unlikely to be transmission related based on what it sounds like you're describing. But hopefully that helps, and we'll at least get you on the path of looking at either the cat, which we did a video talking about, a clogged cat, which we'll link to, and then also high pressure pump and low pressure pump are potential things, as well as a fuel pump control module. So all concerns that could be a problem.
Chris Owens via YouTube asked, I'm curious if I can upgrade my rear brake pads on my 2015 GTI no performance package to 312 like the front rotors.
So I wouldn't recommend trying to match your disc size. I don't know if you would want to do that for like aesthetic purposes. You can upgrade to the performance pack brakes. They are 310 by 22 in the rear and 340 by 30, I think, in the front. You can upgrade to performance pack stuff. We have kits for, I think, all that stuff. For front setups and rear setups, you can do Mark 7 Golf R stuff instead of performance pack if you prefer the black brakes. The problem is you can't do the rear. So because all the cars, with the exception of the performance pack GTI, use electronic rear parking brakes that have bigger upgraded rear stuff. So that includes the Audi models and the Golf Rs. So yes, you absolutely can do that, and you can get better performance out of that. But you know, you have to figure out the proper balance of whether that makes sense for you, between maybe just getting performance pads and rotors over bigger brakes. So you know, you're gonna get better stopping by just doing pads and rotors, and I think for most people, that, in my opinion, that's actually the way you should go, instead of trying to upgrade the brakes to bigger brakes, unless you just have access to them for like used or whatever. Somebody has them around and you get them at a great deal. Thank you so much for watching episode 141 of the AskDAP show, where I answer your Volkswagen and Audi questions. If you have any questions or comments about the questions answered in this show, be sure to leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.